Awesome. So welcome everybody. Happy Saturday. And first, I want to introduce our co-host today with me together. Her name is Sui, and she is the mom of Ni Xiao and Jetlin, right? And Ni Xiao is the high schooler. He did the presentation to us last week with Elizabeth. They talk about English. They talk about argumentative writing. And first, I want to say one thing I did. It was pretty fun. I wanted to share with you. So actually, right now, I'm in my vacation home in the mountain. It's near Yosemite. It's actually very beautiful. Outside is pine trees. It's all very large pine trees. And I wanted to show picture to you. My Wi-Fi is not that great, so I'll just show briefly so you can take a look of those huge pine trees. And we have, you see, right, there's a huge pine trees, and we have a little cabin. Actually, it's a huge cabin. There's 5 bedrooms. Yeah, right, you see there's a beautiful cabin here. Okay, yeah, you get some idea of this. And I'll just turn the video off, then you.
Very nice. Thanks for sharing.
That looks cool. Are you like doing anything at your cabin?
You're on mute, Sherry. Sherry, you're on mute.
Okay, so we came here actually. We have you all met Elizabeth last week. So my daughter Elizabeth, she's going to be 11th grade, and she brought 3 of her friends together, and 4 girls. They have a fun time, and my son Hubert also has a friend here, and the friend's dad is here. So this is a 5 bedroom here. It's very nice. So in the future, okay. When this corona is gone, all of you get chance, we can drive here to the mountain. We can have fun things together. Okay. Now it's just not a great time to get everybody here yet. But I want to hear from each of you, like what's the one thing you want to share with rest of us? Okay, we'll just keep it short. So who's going to volunteer first? Anissa, I see you.
Okay, I guess I already shared, but I was able to play tennis with a couple of friends, so that was nice.
Awesome. So for moms, you can share too. Okay. So Grace, I see you. Can you share one thing you did?
Not too much fun, but we go outside for a walk every night, like 8 o'clock-ish on the trail. You know, the trail, there's a creek next to the Emerald Game Park. So at 8 o'clock, there are not too many people.
Oh, good idea. Awesome. So who wants to share next? I want to hear each of you. Don't be quiet, okay? So for today is a leadership class. So one of the things I want to let you know is sharing, or participating into discussions or into class is one thing about leadership. Is one thing you can do. Leadership is not just about, you're trying to be a boss, you need others. It's also, basic thing is be part of this big group. So I want to say leadership from you. So I see Yining. Yining, can you share something?
I can return back to my dance studio. So I go to dance on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday right after this class. I have dance at 1, so I leave early slightly. I have to leave like.
It's awesome. So you love dancing, right? That's awesome. I want to hear more from you. Who else want to share?
I
Just
can share something.
unmute yourself,
I can
please.
share. Judy
You
here.
go ahead.
Uh, so I just want to share something about like what is happening when we go back to work. You know, I work in UC Berkeley Research Laboratory, and right now, like UC Berkeley Research Laboratory is opening, and so there is a lot of like new rules to follow. For example, like the hallway, like we have to go clockwise in one direction. It's not like, you know, you can go back and forth. You know? So you have to follow the direction. Like there's like, you know, arrow posted on the hallways. And then the bathroom is only one person occupancy. And also like, you know, because like everybody have to work in different shift, there is like a density requirement. Like for example, our lab has like, you know, somewhere around 25 to 30 people, but now every day only 6 people can go in. So we have to work in different shift, and I have to go in like every day, 7 days a week, every day, but like shorter hours. Yeah, so there's a lot of like new rules due to this pandemic. Yeah, just something for you to know. Like, you know, for I think like for all the like people who going back to work, there's going to be a lot of regulation like this. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's awesome. The student might go in shift to school as well. That's what I heard. Who else want to share? So, Austin, I see your name there. Austin. And the next one is Franklin. Okay. Well, I want to hear from Austin and Franklin, and then Manny, like 3 boys in the row. And then we'll go to girls. We'll have Lilian, Abby, Jalen, Aris. Okay. You guys can unmute yourself and start talking. Austin, are you there?
Can you repeat what you said? Because my speaker wasn't working earlier.
Okay, now you can start. Can you talk just one thing you want to share with us happened in last week?
I was drawing. It's my birthday. I'm 13 today.
You were drawing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's awesome. You might share your drawings in the future with us, okay? You just put in front of your video camera, we can see it. Okay, so next one, let's go to Franklin.
Life is boring. I don't really do anything, so I just, well, I wake up and then I have some like math classes, and then after that, I just do whatever I like to do, like my hobbies, I guess. What is your hobby? Yeah, I just do stuff like that's most productive, I guess, in my opinion. Like the most productive thing I could do.
Okay, yeah. So hope our class will be a little bit fun, right? It's not that boring to you. So Manny, do you share something? We couldn't hear you very well, Manny. Maybe something happening with your microphone. Okay, we'll come back to you later, okay? So I think we called a few girls' name. I forgot exactly the sequence I called, but is that Emily? If you are available, you can talk. Emily, are you there? Go ahead. Emily, can you talk? Okay, we couldn't hear you. Yeah, Now we can hear you. Can you say something? Okay, we'll come back to you. Okay, Abby, are you ready to share one thing? Abby?
I had a sleepover yesterday, I guess.
Can you say again? What did you do?
I had a sleepover yesterday.
Oh, sleepover. That's fun. Awesome. Okay, Jeline, right? Are you there, Jeline? Okay, so Jeline, seems you didn't unmute yourself. We'll come back to you later. Okay, Iris, can you talk one thing about your last week? Iris?
I go on walks.
What did you do? Iris, I didn't hear you.
I go hiking. No.
Hiking. Okay, got it. Aria, I see your name there, Aria. Can you talk? Aria, we couldn't hear you. Okay. So for whoever you haven't talked, you want to share, now you can unmute yourself. You can start share one thing about your life. Okay, so we haven't heard from either of you. So just remember, try to share with your friends or in the class, try to participate. That's just a one significant action you can do in order to improve your leadership. Okay, so we'll start today's class. So it's a leadership class, but today we are going to talk about 7 habits of the effective people. This book is from a very famous person. It's called Stephen Covey. So he did a lot of studies. He found out there are 7 very important habits from the successful people. And if we develop those habits, so if we are more aware of those habits and trying to incorporate them into our daily life, can be into our schoolwork, can into our even, like our hobbies or our daily life, our life will become easier and will become more productive and will hopefully become really successful in the future. So as I just talk about, Miss Sui will co-host this class with me together. Sui, please share the YouTube.
Okay, I'll share the screen now. Let me know if you cannot see it, okay? Can everyone see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I'm going to play the video.
Yeah, we can see it.
What's going on, guys? Today's video is going to be on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Now, this book has touched millions of people's lives. It's one of, if not the most well-known success books out there. There are literally thousands of success books out there, so why should this one be any different? Well, Stephen researched the last 200 years of success literature and found something quite interesting. In the last 50 years, most of the books have been focused on the personality ethic. Things like public image, how you dress, how you perform in social interactions, positive mental attitude, skills and techniques to get people to behave in certain ways. These books focus on how to appear rather than how to actually be. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People takes an inside-out approach. It focuses on the character ethic rather than the personality ethic. In the words of Stephen Covey, almost all the literature in the first 150 years or so focused on what could be called the character ethic as the foundation for success. Things like integrity, humility, temperance, courage, and justice, patience, industry, simplicity, modesty, and the golden rule. The character ethic taught that there are basic principles of effective living, and that people can only experience true success and enduring happiness as they learn and integrate these principles into their basic character. You know, greatness starts from the inside out. Of course, there is a place for personality ethic, but character forms the foundation. Personality ethics need to be rooted in character. The personality ethic can be seen as fake, or as a fake it till you make it image if it's not rooted in character. Sometimes people apply these personality techniques in order to use and manipulate people to meet their own goals and agendas. In the long run, people will eventually see through this duplicity. But you can't fake character ethic. If you're still a little fuzzy on this concept, picture an iceberg, right? The personality ethic is above the water. The character ethic is below the water. It forms the foundation. It's where the greatest impact over the long term is. It's where you sow the seeds of greatness. The problem is that people don't focus on the foundation. They focus on the appearance. They're looking for shortcuts and quick fixes, but there are no shortcuts. There is no quick fix program. But if you endure and apply the following habits, you will absolutely achieve your goals, and it will help you develop better relationships. A bit of a long intro there, but necessary to understand the principles this book is based on. So let's jump into the 7 habits. Habit 1 is be proactive. Let's look at something called the circle of concern and the circle of influence. The circle of concern consists of all the things that are out of your control, like the weather, politics, what people think of you, the economy, other people's mistakes, and other people's opinions. The circle of influence consists of all the things you can control: your attitude, what you read, what skills you learn, your enthusiasm, how you spend your free time and who you spend it with, your habits and hobbies, and so on. With that said, there are 2 ways to live life. You can either be reactive or proactive. Reactive people complain about the things that are out of their control. Their environment and outside forces affect their performance and their mood. Additionally, they don't take action or ownership of the things that they can control. And then you have the other type of person. They are proactive. This type of person realizes that their decisions determine their life, not their conditions. Proactive people don't complain about things they can't control. Additionally, they take action to improve the things that they can control. Proactive people understand that sometimes we may not have complete control over a certain situation, but we can control how we respond to a situation. So let's look at an example of how a proactive and a reactive person responds to the same situation. 2 people take a test and then they both fail. One blames the teacher and gives up. The other takes responsibility and ownership, studies harder, and tries to improve themselves. The reactive person complains about how bad the teacher is, and the proactive person asks, "What can I do?" They look at themselves first instead of blaming and complaining. Don't focus on what you can't control, focus on what you can control. Take responsibility, and keep in mind, as you become more proactive within your circle of influence, it grows bigger. You bring more power into your life. Even if you only implement 1 habit out of these 7 habits I'm going to go over, make it this one. This one alone can have a huge impact on your life. In life, you either act or you're acted upon. Habit 2 is begin with the end in mind. All things are created twice. The first time it's created is in your mind.
Hi, Sherry.
Just lead the, yeah, can you please lead the discussion for this first habit?
Okay. Now, we have talked about the first habit. Anyone wants to share about the be proactive? Like, what have you done in your life that you're proactive about?
I think it's just focus on the circle of influence. Try to do what you can to make the, anything better.
Anyone else wants to share?
Well, I guess like during quarantine, I guess it's like rather than seeing it as like like you're not able to like see your friends, like you can turn it into like an opportunity to like learn more and to like improve yourself, I guess.
Very good. So what else do you like about being proactive?
Well, like I guess like at school, like sometimes like if you don't understand something, like go to like the teacher rather than like waiting for the teacher to like come to you, I guess.
That's a very good example. Like if you have some questions, you go to the teacher. Or when the teacher didn't answer your questions, you be proactive and ask them exactly what you don't know. Is that right? Okay. Michelle, can you give some example as well?
Okay. I think being proactive is like choosing to take responsibility yourself instead of blaming someone else. Like if you accidentally messed up on something, you blame yourself instead of making up an excuse as to why you messed up.
And Manning, would you like to share with us as well?
Your sound is coming out funny.
You can type it out and then I can read it for you. Okay. By the way, he shared on the chat group that he say he went biking on Sunday with his friends. Okay. I'll read out what he shared again later. Let's continue with the video.
Mind, and a second time is in the real world. So let's look at how it's created in the mind first. To get where you want to go in life, you need to have a map. You need to determine your life goals, your destination, and you also need a plan on how to get there. Otherwise, you're just aimlessly wandering around in life. So where do you want to go in life? Have you sat down and clearly defined the type of life you want? Do you know where you want to be in 5, 10, or 15 years from now? If not, then you're wandering around aimlessly at the whims of everyone else. Let me put it another way. Picture your life like a ladder. You're climbing up the ladder of life, working hard, doing the right things, and making progress up the ladder month by month, year by year. Then as you get toward the top of the ladder, you suddenly realize your ladder was leaning against the wrong wall the whole time. A lot of people live their lives like this. They don't have a vision for their life. They don't have what Stephen calls a personal mission statement. You need to make a conscious effort of where you want to end up, or other people will control your life and where you end up going. This is why this habit is so important. You need to figure out your destination first and then work towards it. If you're not really clear on what your purpose is, then think about the end of your life. How do you want to be remembered? Why do you want to be remembered for that? Find your purpose and make sure it has a strong why behind it. Not something like having a lot of money, but something that you have a real passion for. You aren't put here to make money, buy stuff, and then die. You have something to contribute to the world. You can add value. So find out what that is. Instead of asking what life has to offer you, ask what you can offer life. So take the time to think about your purpose, think about your values, and write them down. Your personal mission statement can be as simple as Will Smith's, which is, I want the world to be better because I was here. Very simple, and what you do is you keep this mission statement at the forefront of your mind, and whenever you make a decision, you see if it's in alignment with that mission statement. This will keep you on track. Go crazy, create your ideal life and your legacy. It can be whatever you want, dream big, and don't hold yourself back. Most of the time, the thing that holds us back is ourselves, so don't let self-doubt get in the way. Realize that anything is possible, so define how you want your life to be right now. Don't let the past or anything else hold you back. You write the script to your life, no one else. You are the programmer. Alright, habit 3 is to put first things first.
Hi everyone. Okay. We just went through the second habit.
So that's good. So we learned this second habit. So I'll start with what I thought about this second habit. So second habit talks about we need to have a goal. Like we said, start with the end, which means we know where we're going. So when we do things, we do things toward that goal. So one thing I use in my life, like you that at the beginning write down our new machines, and then
Sherry, we are cutting. Dr. Sherry,
we try to re-go during the year. By the end of the year, I will check. Also, I put on paper. I will say. So I will go through this. So I share one thing I have in my this year's New Year resolution. When I finish mine, I want you to think what you did for goals. Like your summer goals, your today, just one goal you have in mind, and what did you do about it? Okay, I'll share. So one thing I did in the New Year was to finish my book. So I started writing a book about 2 years ago, but it's been delayed. And finally I said, okay, I want to finish this book this year. So I'll tell you my progress. Okay, so far I did all my draft, and you already look at my book, and there's a little more work to do, but it's very close to the final stage. So I think it should be done and published in fall before November. That's my goal. So I just will share one thing with you guys. Okay, I'll stop here, and I want you to volunteer to share. I don't want to call your names. Just unmute yourself, start talking.
Hi, can you hear me? Judy here. So I happen to have this book by my side.
Show your leadership here. Okay.
Yeah. So
my voice is cutting.
In this second habit, begin with the end in mind. In the book, like there is some more detail about, like, everybody can have a personal mission statement.
Sorry for that. I'll just.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's suggested that everybody can have a personal mission statement, because like each individual is unique. So like everybody's personal mission statement can be different, right? In terms of like what you want to do, what you want to be, like how you like get to your, like what your approach will be. But then like one thing in common is when you make this personal mission statement, it's always start from the center of your circle of influence, which
So
is
you guys go ahead to talk. Okay. My Wi-Fi is not great.
That's okay. Yeah. So when you make your personal mission statement, start from the circle of influence,
Can you please
part
just
that you can
share?
control. Yeah. And then from the center of your circle of influence, you can use your wisdom and then security and guidance and power to spread out and make your statement. Yeah, that's all I want to share.
Thank you very much, Judy.
So I guess I'll go. So I guess one goal in life, this is a little big, but I think I want to work for the UN. And I guess how I'll take steps is like trying to like be confident and like be more open-minded to like different ideas by like listening to others' ideas and like not like rejecting them.
Great. That's a good one. And anyone else like to share? Okay, I saw many type here that he was talking about the first habit. Being proactive is basically taking things to your own hands rather than making others do or represent you. And Manny, is your mic working now? Are you able to speak?
I think he's gonna type it in the chat.
Don't see him. Okay, I guess his mic is still not working. Yeah, mic is still not working. Okay, okay, you can type it. And Ying on the line unmuted. Would you like to share too? Hi. Cannot hear you. Sorry, still cannot hear you. Maybe you can type it on the chat and I can read out when you're ready. I will mute you now and then but Iris, share with us, like, do you have any goal in mind for this summer?
Just for the summer, or?
Well, we can start with something simple. The goal doesn't have to be something that you wanted on your deathbed.
I don't know. I kind of want to start writing a book.
Writing a book. So with your plan of writing a book, what would do you think that you would like to prepare?
I probably have to.
Sorry? Okay. We can do the sharing next time. Let's go on with the video. Okay, I saw the what Manning has typed. He said for his childhood, he want to make everyone happy through laughter and teach them the stuff he learned. That's very nice. Okay. So we'll go to the third habit now. Let me start the video again.
First. If habit 2 says you're the programmer, then habit 3 is write the program. This is the second creation. As you learned in habit 2, all things are created twice. First in the mind, and then in reality. Habit 3, putting first things first, is where you take the steps and actions required to make your vision a reality. This is where we begin examining our daily routines and habits. Ask yourself, what's the most important thing for you in this moment? It's probably your significant other, finishing school, improving your health, or your family, right? It's not checking Facebook or Instagram. So why do we spend so much time doing these useless things, right? We need to get into the habit of putting first things first. Taking the time to focus on what really matters and focus our efforts on what's going to get us to where we want to be in life. Really start questioning the scripts and the habits in your life. We've all fallen into the vicious cycle of waking up late, eating poorly, leaving late for work, rushing through traffic in a state of stress, being unorganized at work and being pulled in 1,000 different directions, and then getting home, eating fast food because you're tired, and then falling asleep late because you watched some new TV show. And then you wake up late the next day to do it all over again. This is the perfect example of not putting first things first. We could all use a little help in the time management department, right? And we all have a lot to do. So how do we manage time effectively? Usually we all write things down on a giant to-do list, and we tend to go in order from top to bottom with no real priorities. This is not the way. Or you schedule things on a calendar, which is a decent practice, but with one interruption, our whole game can be thrown off. You could also try daily planning based on priorities, but again, one interruption or emergency can mess it all up. Most of us fall into this time management scheme. But there is another way. The best way is to categorize things by urgency and importance. Steven developed a cool quad chart for this, and you need to categorize items in the following. Quadrant 1 is urgent and important. This is putting out fires, emergencies, and kind of the reactive mindset. Quadrant 2 is not urgent and important. These are things like your health, exercising, spending time with your family, relationships. We need to put more focus here. These are often neglected activities, and this is where success and balance and growth are found. Quadrant 3 activities are not important and urgent. So most of us spend our time here, right? Interruptions, some meetings, some phone calls, and other people's emergencies. And then quadrant 4 are not important and not urgent. These are a waste of time, busy work, some emails, some phone calls, and so on. You remember the example above of the reactive and unorganized person. Now let's look at an example of someone who puts first things first. Joe wakes up early, exercises for 30 minutes, eats a healthy breakfast, leaves early for work, and has a nice, smooth, and joyful ride. Then Joe works on the important and not urgent things in Quad 2, and he works on emergencies if needed, and then he delegates Quadrant 3 activities and rejects Quadrant 4 tasks. Joe takes a nice relaxing lunch and thinks about the rest of his day and plans his night. At the end of the workday, he closes out tasks and plans things for the next day. He gets home and prepares a healthy meal and then maybe reads before bed. He seems to have more time to think and reflect about his life, and he makes plans on where he wants to end up and who he wants to be. Basically, what we did in Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. I mean, if you look at these two different examples, it's a huge difference, right? No one on their deathbed wishes they spent more time at work or checked their Facebook more often, right? So again, focus on what's important to you and make it a priority. Commit yourself to it. Now the first 3 habits, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first, are about moving you from being dependent to being independent. They're about self-mastery. They help you become more effective as an individual by developing inner strength, character, purpose, and values. The next 3 habits, which I'll cover in the next video, move you from being independent to being interdependent. Interdependence is the highest level of what Stephen Covey calls the maturity continuum. The maturity continuum consists of 3 levels: dependence, independence, and interdependence. Dependence is like the relationship between a child and a mother, or even sometimes between a boss and employee, if the employee lacks their own inner strength, values, and purpose. It's the attitude of you. To move from dependence to independence, you have to nail those first 3 habits. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first. This is the attitude of I. Most people think independence is where it's at, right? They think this is the highest level, but in fact, interdependence is the highest level. Interdependence is where you think like a team. Think family, think marriage, right? A team mentality. We accomplish what we want together. It's the attitude of we. We can combine our talents and our abilities to make something even better. Habits 4 through 6 will help you deal with people, how to read the needs of people, how to empathize, and how to cooperate. And keep in mind, you have to move from being dependent to independent before you can truly become interdependent. So go ahead and check out part 2 of the summary, where you can learn about habits 4 through 7. I'll link to it right here.
Hi.
Thanks for tuning in to this video, sponsored by the good folks at Skillshare. If you like great deals like I do, make sure you click the link in the description right.
Hi. So we finished the first 3 habits that is in these 7 habits. I'd like to hear about what are your views about all, these first 3 habits. Do you feel that those are helpful habits, or you have some opinion that you like to say?
Yeah, I think they're pretty helpful, like especially the put first things first and the be proactive, because I think, yeah.
Okay, so that's very good, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. And Austin, would you like to share? Are you there, Austin?
I don't think he knows the question.
Okay. Oh, his speaker is not working too. Looks like my speaker is not working. It's fine. We can be proactive about it. We don't have to complain about speaker not working. If you like to type out your answer, oh, your mic is fine. Okay. I'd like to find out, like, how do you think that you can apply the 3 habits in your life? Like, can you give some examples, like how would you practice be proactive or begin in mind? Like, do you have any summer goals that you want to accomplish? Or maybe like you would like to go to a certain college, since there are college students here. We are all going to college, planning to go to college. So Austin, would you like to share again? Okay. So he mentioned that he could be more organized and productive in college, especially since the workload will drastically increase. Okay, let me. Okay, let me share what I have here. And then we'll get back to what is on the chat. Okay, for me, about habits, first thing is how do we form the habits? I find that forming the habit is the very first important, although you know that all these 3 habits are very good habits, how we form them is critical. So let me share my screen again. Okay. So okay. To form.
Wait, I'm drinking cold milk.
Sorry? Did someone say something? Okay. So this is from the book as well. To form the habits, there are 3 things that we need. We need to have the knowledge, the skills, and the desire. So if we don't have either of these, it's very difficult to form the habits. Okay, we need to know how we want to form it. Like you need the skills to form this habit. Like what do you like you want to learn how to draw. You need to have a teacher that teach you how to draw, or you read out books to draw. And like what to and why, you can search on the internet or get a teacher to help you tell you how you can improve on it. You can draw on your own, but if someone or you can read somewhere that how you can improve on it, your drawing will go to the next level. And then the desire too. If you want to draw and you don't have desire, like, oh, when you pick up the pencil, I don't want to do it, I want to play on my cell phone, then that's not very, you will never learn how to draw. So in order to form that habit, you have to have the desire to do that, to plan it out and work on them. So that's my personal experience about forming habits. Even though we know those habits are good, all these 3 will come into play when you form them. Okay. Let me see if we have anything else the panelists like to share. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer to share their experience?
So I want to share something on this topic, right? Put the first thing first. So in my own experience, in the old days, like sometimes my schedule is messed up by other people's requirement. So in this section, like Steve talked about, like, you know, how to deal with people. So by following when following your schedule, right, you have to deal with some people that would interact with you, that would, you know, have relationship to your schedule, have a relationship to the work that you do. In that case, you know, how to deal with those people, how to say if someone's going to mess up your schedule, how you can say no, right? So this is a very important part. Sometimes you have to say no, right? So how to say no to those people, right? How to deal with the relationship, that would be something to consider besides, you know, scheduling your days or weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think today we only have time to share the first 3 habits of his book, I'm going to share you what are all the 7 habits. Of course, you can Google it online too. Okay, so I'd like to wrap up with on these 7 habits of highly effective kids. You can find this book online, and or you can find a lot of reading materials online too. So the first habit is be proactive. It's that I have a can-do attitude. I choose my action, attitude, mood, and then you be in charge of what you want to do instead of depending on other people. So we start from, you remember during the video, they have start from dependent, independent. So we want to move towards independence. That's why we are the one that lead what we want to, which path we want to choose, not based on what's happening to us. And the second one is like begin with the end in mind. You plan your goal. Like say this summer, I want to learn how to skate, rollerblade. Okay, so you want to play, do nice skate. What do you need? You go with buying a pair of skates, and then you watch video on how you skate. So you plan ahead, and then you do all the steps. And instead of just sitting here and say, oh, it's so boring, we are quarantined, we cannot join any summer camp. So we can learn a new skill. And then the third one is like putting first thing first. What would you like to do that's most important? I'm sure all the students here, you are planning to improve your grades for when school will open. So if you want to improve your grades, what would you like to spend? Would you like to spend? Would you like to read more, work on certain skills more, or do some programming? That is your choice. And the fourth habit is think win-win. Okay, you want to be successful, like someone shared with us that we want everyone to be happy. And what makes you happy? What do you think that will make other people happy, so that we can all solve the issue together? The fifth one is seek first to understand. So you listen. Listening is a very important skill, and then you find out what issues are, like in places where I work, listen to what people have suggestions, and then we try to improve them, and this make everyone happy. Is all interlinked, like you're thinking win-win. And then 6 is synergize. You value other people's strengths and learn from them. Not everyone is perfect here. You can get improved when you learn from other people. There are always so many people, so many experts in life that you can learn, like from this book. You read this book and you learn from what this book is trying to teach us. So there are so many outstanding self-help books out there, and we can always learn from all these self-help books. And then 7 is sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw is meaning that you are taking care of yourself So besides, like you want before you can start doing uh, changes, you make sure that you are taking care of yourself, like eating right, exercising, and getting sufficient sleep. Then you can make a change to the world. Okay, this is just a very brief summary of what we have here. So, anyone else want to share about these 7 habits before we wrap up our session and pass on to the students for the chemistry class? Okay, so we'll take about a 5 minutes break and the students can get ready and share their screen when they are ready. Thank you everyone for your time. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. It was very helpful.
Hi. So now it's 12:03 and we can start our chemistry class now. We have Cassia and Jonathan. Would you like to share your screen? Is
Yeah,
everyone
sure.
ready for the class?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready too.
Okay, you can start share your screen when you're ready, when you like to start.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Jonathan, and I'll be teaching you guys the introduction of chemistry. So, firstly, let's. I'm sorry.
Last information that normal 7th graders, chemistry. It's a periodic table.
Well,
You guys didn't do health yet, right? You guys didn't do health.
we'll get to periodic.
Oh gosh.
We'll get to periodic table later. Let's just. So, okay, I'm going to tell you something about introduction for chemistry.
7th graders got something less that have less knowledge than most 7th graders.
Okay. So let's have a look for the definition of chemistry from Google Translate. It says the branch of science that deals with the identification of the substances of which matter is composed, the investigation of their properties and the ways in which they interact, combine and change, and the use of these processes to form new substances. So this is the definition for chemistry in Google Translate. But I'm not going to tell you about this today. For today, I'm going to introduce a new way of defining chemistry. So can anyone tell me what that person is doing out there?
He's mixing different substances together.
Yeah, that's right. So he's like mixing all the substances and trying to produce new things. So he's doing experiments. What is chemistry? Chemistry is various interesting experiments. When you learn chemistry, you should always keep in mind that chemistry is based on experiments. The chemists use experiments to prove their predictions, or they use experiments to find something wrong in some other predictions. In addition, lots of findings in chemistry are discovered by accident in experiments. So experiments is very important for chemistry. Let's see what's next. Can anyone tell me what's going on in these flasks?
Like they're reacting to like an experiment or something.
Yeah, they react like very. You can see a white smoke evolving from the flask. And reaction is very important for chemistry. We can say chemistry is intriguing and beautiful reactions. So now we have experiments and reactions. Let's see what's next. So this is a very complicated thing. Let me guess what it is. Here is right here. But I want you to think about what it is the word of glucose in a microwave. Does anyone have any idea?
Can you please repeat the question because you're kind of lagging?
Okay, sure. So, this substance is very complicated. So, I make a guess. It is the word of glucose.
Do you mean like the atoms that make up glucose?
Yeah, that's right. That's what I mean. So, these like colorful balls, the white balls, red balls, and black balls,
Well, hydrogen.
they are arranging in a specific arrangement to form glucose. And this is how they arrange. And this is the molecule of glucose because all the atoms link together to form the molecule of glucose. And I want to ask you another question. Why we want to study the molecule of glucose? Because we all know the name of glucose and we know it's necessary for our daily life. But why we just don't eat glucose, but we want to study the molecule of glucose? Why we want to study complicated things?
I guess you want to know what's in glucose, like what makes up glucose?
Yeah, that's one part that people want to know. And also, because we want to explore the world, we want to know what make up the world. So we want to explore, we want to study all these things. We can imagine ancient times, people don't know glucose, but they know they will probably die if they don't eat rice or noodles. And they will probably explain that there might be some life element in rice and noodles, that people will die if they don't have them. But what the life element exactly is, why they are so important, how do they affect us? What if the life element ran out some days, and how can they find some alternatives? So these questions are what chemists think about and study. So only when chemists think this way can they make the world better and make human life better. And the study of these molecules is the process called chemistry. So we can say chemistry is the study of structures and properties of different compounds. So let's see what's next. So here's a graph. In this graph, circle
I think you're lagging. I don't think they can see the.
Dad.
Well, see my.
That's what glucose is. We want glucose. So, 7th grade chemistry is good. Like, he's trying to get more.
You're cutting.
Oh, really?
Oh no, I was talking to Oh, never mind.
Wait, so anyway, can you see screen now? Okay.
No, it's very bad.
Just wait for me to change the place. Okay. Can you see it now?
We just see the target.
You just see the target?
Yeah.
Wait, that's strange. So anyway, so the graph just show what a theory is like. It shows a kind of theory or models in chemistry. And,
热车。
wait, do you have any questions? I couldn't just any questions you can ask me now. Wait. Well, I can't see now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just explain what a theory or a model is like in chemistry. So we can just, I'm sorry. We can just skip the graph and see the conclusion. I just say that the theories or models are very important in chemistry.
So my hair type is
Because the chemistry is different theories to explain different phenomena in the material world. Do you have any questions about it?
Not really.
Okay, so let's move on to the next picture. So in this picture, you see a lot of math and a lot of letters. So do you have an idea what this exactly is? I'm giving choices. A, chemistry, B, physics, C, math, and D, English. What do you think this is? Wait. You can type in chat if you have any answers. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. In a letter.
Can you all like put in the chat whether you think the image is A, B, C, or D? A, chemistry, B, physics, C, math, or D, English?
Yeah. What the graph is?
Yeah, what do you guys think this image represents? Which?
Wait, this is not English, but it's all other things.
Is it math?
Yeah, it is math. And it is also physics. and chemistry. So like there are a bunch of English letters like K, E, R, T, and A. These are all some quantities or constants that relate to math, physics, and chemistry. Each of them represents a specific quantity or number. So this graph shows chemistry, physics, and math. When doing calculations, chemistry often links with physics and math. And there's a very important subject that's called physics chemistry that requires a lot of physics and math. So we can say chemistry is various formulas and calculations with math and physics. So we actually introduce everything that related to chemistry. So we can go to the short conclusion. Chemistry is a combination of experiments, reactions, studies of compounds, models, and calculations. Chemistry is the subject using this combination to study the regulations in the micro world, then applying these regulations to make our macro world better. Do you have any questions about this conclusion?
Not really.
Okay. So I'd like to tell you one last thing about chemistry that is very important. So here's an interesting question. Do you have any idea what a sentence will be if dividing the word chemistry into 3 words? Like you divide the word chemistry to make it a sentence, and it contains 3 different words. I'll give you a hint. You should first divide between the letter M and I. You should first divide it between M and I. So the first word is chem. What's the last 2 words?
I think Manning in the chat got it right.
Wait, I'll see the chat. Is it chemist try?
Yeah, Manning got it right.
Yeah, that's right. So when you divide chemistry, you get chemist try. So trying is very important for chemistry. Trying makes chemistry alive. So why experiment is important for chemistry? Because experiment is the process of trying. Only when people try can they find something new and make the world better. And that's chemistry. Okay, so here's the introduction for chemistry. I'll give you a bullet point if you would like to take some notes. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, so let's go to the periodic table part. And
I'm Jonathan.
mm,
Can I share my screen?
yeah.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna share my screen now. Wait, can you guys all see my screen?
I can still screen.
Alright. So groups are the vertical columns in the periodic table, which means chemical property. So let's take group 1. You can see here's lithium, here's sodium, here's potassium, rubidium. They're all in group 1, right? So they all have similar chemical properties, and that goes with almost every group. So group 17, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, they all have similar chemical properties. Any questions on that? Okay, next are periods. Periods are the rows of the periodic table. We have these rows, and they're the periods. And periods don't really have much meaning in the periodic table, unlike groups, which groups usually say that they have similar properties. But periods don't mean much, so for now, just remember that periods are the rows in the periodic table and groups are the columns. Okay, next are the alkali. But there is a reason why it's up here above lithium, and we'll get into that in the next lesson. But for now, lithium to francium is the alkali metals. And what are the alkali metals? Alkali metals are soft, silvery metals, and they're actually extremely reactive. All of them react with water, and we're actually going to see a video of a couple of these alkali metals reacting with water on the next slide. And an interesting thing is that you can't find any of these alkali metals in nature in their pure state. They're usually combined with other. I don't think you guys will be able to hear the video, but you guys can see what happens. So can you all see that?
And you guys see some smoke come off, and that's either lithium metal or that's lithium hydroxide coming off there. They go down into the liquid water. But it's not as reactive as say sodium, so I'm gonna put sodium.
So now he's gonna put sodium here into this glass.
Sodium is actually probably going to ignite. So you'll see some orange flame perhaps, or some sparks, or some shrapnel.
So this is putting sodium in this water. As you can see, a reaction is occurring. That's because alkali metals are extremely reactive. Now he's going to put potassium in this glass right here.
In terms of amount, you'll find that the reactivity is a little bit greater.
So there's a big reaction there, as you can see. able to hear me? Just making sure. Are you guys able to hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like it's kind of like yeah.
So were you guys able to see the video?
Yeah, we were able to see the video, but there was no sound.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you understand that it was the alkali metals that were reacting with water, right?
Sure.
Okay. So now we have group 2, and group 2 are the alkaline earth metals. And they're also very reactive, but not
Cash App, you're cutting off.
in combination with other elements, just like group 1.
Cash App?
Mm-hmm.
You just cut off.
Oh. So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Alright, so alkaline earth metals are in group 2, and they're also very reactive, but not as reactive as group 1. And they're also not found in the pure state because they would be extremely dangerous. And then next, this is also the periodic table, but it's showing the metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. So the metals are on the left side of the periodic table, with the exception of hydrogen, which is a nonmetal. Most of the nonmetals are on the right side in blue here. And in between, there's this zigzag type of staircase that goes down. And on here are the metalloids. And the metalloids are in yellow. And we'll get into that later, but metalloids have properties of metals and non-metals. So let's get into metals. So metals are solid at room temperature, except for mercury. So what do I mean by that? So on this periodic table, as you saw on the other periodic table, the metals are on the left side. And but all these other metals are all solids. And some properties of metals are that they're malleable. Like, I'm pretty sure all of you have seen copper wires. In your like chargers and things, you have copper wires in them, and you can bend them and twist them. And they're also, all metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. So if you have a charger, there's usually copper wires in there because copper is a metal and it's a good conductor of electricity. So next are the non-metals. The non-metals are brittle and not malleable. So solid. But don't confuse that with metals and non-metals. Just because all the metals here are mostly solid doesn't mean that like all the non-metals won't be solid. there are a lot of metals here that are solid, there are a lot of metals here that are gas, and there are a lot of non-metals here that are liquid at room temperature. So it's a variety, unlike the metals, which are mostly solid. A lot of non-metals can be solid, they can be gases, and they can be liquid at room temperature. For example, something like carbon, which is C over here, is a solid at room temperature. It is a non-metal. And you have something like fluorine, which is a gas, but it's also still a non-metal. So do you guys have any questions about that? Sorry, I'm not able to read chat, so Jonathan, Jonathan, if you can like answer their questions, if they have any.
Yeah, I am answering.
Okay, cool. Is everyone ready to go to the next slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So this is gonna be a video about being brittle or malleable, and we're gonna take a look at aluminum and carbon. So as you can see here on this slide, aluminum is in red, which means it's a metal, and carbon is in blue, which is a non-metal. So I want you guys to like take a guess in the chat or just say out loud, which one do you think is going to be malleable and which one do you think is going to be brittle? Aluminum is aluminum brittle or malleable, and is carbon brittle or malleable? And then we're going to see in the video. So just write the answers in chat or say it out loud. Alright, I'm gonna start the video now. So you guys won't be able to hear probably what happens, but I'm gonna tell you what's going on. So that's a piece of aluminum. So as you can see, he can bend it, which probably means that's a malleable. So as you can see here, it doesn't break into pieces. It just keeps on layering and bending, which definitely means it's malleable. And that's a characteristic of a metal, right? Because aluminum is a metal. So next, he's gonna look at carbon. So carbon was a non-metal. So now he's gonna hit it with the hammer. And he kind of fails the first time. But he's gonna try again. Yeah, so as you can see here, it breaks, right? That is a characteristic of a non-metal, and that's what being brittle looks like. So now he's gonna take a look at some other elements like copper. So copper is malleable, but I don't want to spend too much time on that video. And we're gonna look next at the halogens, which are in group 17 or group 7A. And these are the halogens here: fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and so on. And they're on the right side, so that tends to mean that they're non-metals. And they're very reactive too, just as reactive as something in group 1 might be, like lithium or sodium. And they're very colorful too, and they're corrosive. And this means that like acid, they can destroy things and like break them up into pieces. So it's very reactive and dangerous. Now we're going to see a sodium and iodine reaction. And can anyone remember what sodium is? Like which group is it in? Does anyone know? People can put it in chat if they want to. Are you there, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm there.
Can they have any of them put what they think sodium is in the chat?
But they didn't say anything about sodium.
Does anyone know which group sodium's in? Alright, so it's an alkali metal. Is a halogen, and iodine is also very reactive. So if you put two very reactive things, then it's definitely going to cause a big explosion, and we're going to see that here. So I can see iodine is a colorful gas, and he pours it in the sodium, and this is the type of reaction you would get when two very reactive things react with each other. Alright. So now the noble gases. Now, a lot of you have probably heard of some of these noble gases like helium, which you use in balloons, neon, argon, krypton, and they're all in group 18. This last group in pink on the right. And the noble gases are super unreactive. So they won't react with anything whatsoever. And there's a reason for this, and it's due to the structure of the atom of these elements. And it's mostly due to the valence electrons, but for now, if you don't know what that is, that's fine. We're going to go over that in the next lesson. But just know that all these elements in group 18 are all super unreactive. And they're all colorless, unlike the halogens in group 17, which are colorful. So going back to this picture of metals, nonmetals, and metalloids, metalloids are these yellow elements here, like boron for B, or silicon here, Si, and metalloids have properties between metals and nonmetals. So for example, silicon is a semiconductor. So that means it's not a poor conductor like all these nonmetals in the blue, but it's not as strong as a conductor as all these metals in red. Somewhere in between. And that's basically what a metalloid is. It has properties from metals and also properties of non-metals. So does anyone have any questions about what they saw? No questions? Okay, so Jonathan,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about like something like atoms and valence electrons and how that all works? Actually,
wait, yeah, sure. Wait, can you hear me? I can talk about something like atoms and valence electrons.
yeah, okay.
Okay. So I'll start now. Okay. So I just received a question that asking why why potassium causes fire when it reacts with water, but sodium and lithium don't produce fire. So that can be explained using valence electrons in atoms. So like the valence electrons are more easier to lose down a group, and when the electron loses, the reaction goes forward. So like the reaction is a process of losing electrons, and so the reaction is kind of like one substance loses its electrons and another substance gains its electrons. So that's a form of reaction. And when potassium reacts with water, they take this form. So like potassium loses electrons and water gains electrons. So because potassium is down a group, the valence electrons are easier to lose. So the valence electron of potassium is easier to lose than the valence electron than lithium and sodium. So the potassium reacts the most vigorously with water than sodium and lithium. And wait, I kind of missed one thing. So like the definition of valence electron is the electron in the outermost side of the atom. So like I'll share my screen to explain it better. So like can you see the periodic table?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So now I'm explaining the definition of valence electrons. So like the valence electrons, like the number of valence electrons is equal to the number of their group. So like in the first group, all these elements have one valence electrons, and this has two, and this has three. So like this way. And the valence electron is the electron in the outermost orbital of the atom. So like in the first row, there are two elements, right? There are two elements, and that is the first orbital. Like in the second row, that's the second orbital. You can see this way. So like the valence electron in the second row is equal to the is equal to the electrons in the second orbital. Do you have any questions? So like in general, the number of valence electrons is equal to the number of the group. These have 1 valence electrons. These have 2. These have 3. These have 4. These have 5, 6, 7, and 8. Is that it? Right. So does anyone have any questions?
Jonathan.
Oh, hey. Yeah. Oh wait, can you hear me?
Should show them a picture of like an atom of like nitrogen or something.
Like an atom of, yeah, sure. So I'll search online. Atom of hydrogen. Like see, okay, so like this is the atom of hydrogen. So hydrogen only have 1 electrons, and it only has 1 orbital because it's in the first row. So hydrogen is the simplest element. It only has 1 proton, 1 electron. So that's the atom of hydrogen. And the proton have one positive charge, and electron have 1 negative charge. So they can offset. So like the hydrogen atom is neutral. And we can see the atom of so like that's the first noble gas. No. Yeah. Helium is the first noble gas, and it's also the simplest gas. So for helium, like this is the atom of helium. We can see it has 2 protons and 2 electrons. So like 2 positive charge and 2 negative charge, they can offset. So like the atom of helium is also neutral. And in helium, it also have 2 neutrons, which is also neutral. So that's the atom of helium. In general, an atom is composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Electrons is very light, and neutrons and protons are relatively more heavier. And that's the atom of helium. And we can see the atom of lithium. Like, so we can see in lithium it has 2 orbitals. So the valence electrons is in the outermost orbital, which is 1. And the 2 electrons in the inner orbital doesn't count as valence electrons. So like we can see that in lithium, the red little bar is proton, and the yellow little bar is neutron. So we can see the electrons, they are like running around like the nucleus, which is composed of neutrons and protons. So that's the atom of lithium. And since the valence electrons is the electron in the outermost orbital, so lithium only has one orbitals. An atom of sodium. Like we can see, sodium is in the third row of the periodic table. So we can see it has 3 orbitals. In the same way, there is only 1 electron in the outermost orbital. So the valence electron of sodium is 1. And all the electrons in the inner orbitals don't count as valence electrons. Does anyone have any questions? We can go on and see the atom of manganese. Like in manganese, manganese is in the second group. So like it has 2 valence electrons in the outermost orbital. Like we can see in the green orbitals, which is the outermost orbital, there's only 2 electrons. And the 2 is and the 2 shows is the second group in the periodic table. So like the regulation is like the valence electrons of one element is equal to the number of group the element is in. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so at last I'm going to explain why the potassium is much more vigorous than sodium and lithium. So we can see the atom of potassium. We can see this graph. So like we can see that in potassium, the valence electron is furthest from the nucleus. Like there are 3 orbitals in front of the valence electrons, so that there are much more electrons that prevent him from going in. So like this electron experience the least force from the nucleus. And we can see the atom of lithium in contrast. Like in lithium, there's only 1 orbital that's in front of it. So the valence electron of lithium can actually easier to experience the force from the nucleus. So it experiences stronger force from the nucleus. Since it's experiencing the stronger force, is harder to lose. In the potassium, since the valence electron experiences the least force from the nucleus, it's the easiest to lose. And since it's easiest to lose, the reaction can go more vigorously, because the reaction of potassium with water is the process of losing electrons of potassium and gain electrons of water. So like the easier the electron to when the electron is easier to move, the reaction can go more vigorously. So that's why potassium can cause fire, but sodium and lithium can't. And that's the valence electrons and the structure of atoms. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey Jonathan, let's move on to the homework since it's almost 1. So yeah.
So for the homework, I'll post the homework in the Google Classroom later.
Later today, you should be able to see the homework.
Some of you still haven't joined our Google Classroom, so I'll send the class code in the chat again. Please make sure to join our Google Classroom to turn in all the assignments that we've been putting out so far. So we have Chinese culture and English, and now we have chemistry. Also, please fill out the feedback survey that I posted in chat. It'd be great if you could like provide your feedback to us. The JXHDGQP is our class code to this Express Education. That's where you'll be turning in all your homework.